This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
The X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell is largely an opinion talk show. All opinions, comments, or statements of fact expressed by Rob McConnell's guests are strictly their own and are not to be construed as those of the X-Zone Radio Show or endorsed in any manner by Rob McConnell, Relmar McConnell Media Company, the X-Zone Broadcast Network, its affiliated networks, stations, employees, or advertisers.
All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
And welcome back, everyone. This is the X-Zone. I am Rob McConnell. And, after 26 years, still coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and all social media sites, X-Zone Radio TV. Our website, xzoneradiotv.com, and for all the programming that is available to you, 7/24/365 on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, www.xzbn.net. And we're also heard on the Talkstar Radio Network Mutual Broadcast Network across Europe on Radio X and, of course, iHeartRadio. My guest this hour is best-selling author and good friend of the X-Zone, Dr. Rita Louise. She's the host of Just Energy Radio and the founder of the Institute of Applied Energetics. She is the author of the books The ET Chronicles, What Myth and Legend Has to Say About Human Origin, Avoiding the Cosmic 2x4, Dark Angels, An Insider's Guide to Ghosts, Spirits, and Attached Entities, and The Power Within, as well as hundreds of articles that have been published worldwide. She is also the producer of a number of videos whose titles include Holy Deception, Icon, Deconstructing the Archetypes of the Ancients, The Truth About the Nephilim, and Deceit, Lies, and Deception, The Reptilian Agenda. Dr. Louise has appeared on radio and television hundreds of times and has spoken at conferences covering topics such as health, healing, ghosts, intuition, ancient mysteries, and the paranormal. Joining me now is Dr. Rita Louise, and as always, my friend, welcome back to the X-Zone. How have you been?
I have been great, Rob, and it's always a pleasure to be here on air with you and your listeners. Yay!
Yay! We're going to do something a little different tonight. I'd like to talk to you about health. You know, you're an expert in that field as well. And usually we talk about ghost hauntings, things that go bump in the night, and so on. But I think there's a regeneration of some sort going on where people are looking at alternative health professionals or naturopaths, homeopaths, for answers that they can't seem to get from the so-called professional medical community. What do you say about that?
I completely agree with you. I feel like people are becoming more rigorous in going online and looking things up and kind of evaluating themselves. I think, I think it's an interesting trend we're in. They show those commercials for prescriptions on TV, and they spend 3 sentences talking about this is how it's good for you. Yeah. And then the next 30 seconds telling you, and if you take this, you're going to die. And I think people are just fed up. They want to get well. They don't want to take medicine that is just going to make them sicker.
Yeah. Another part that I find is very ironic is that the commercial says, be sure to tell your health provider all the prescriptions that you're taking. Well, wait a minute. If you're going to the health provider, shouldn't they know that?
Well, they should.
Yeah.
But I have to tell you, I had to renew a prescription. I actually took a prescription for more than one, prescription refill.
Yeah.
And I had to call the pharmacy and ask them how I had to do that. And, if you go to the doctor and you don't take prescriptions that, and you're past, 20, they look at you like, well, what do you mean you don't take any prescription medications? Like you're a weirdo or something.
Do you think that the healthcare industry in the United States has something to do with this resurgence in looking into the naturopathic way of healing?
I do. That's what I do every day is work with people regarding their health concerns. I'm a medical intuitive, but I also have a degree as a naturopath and a Ph.D. in natural health counseling. So this is what I talk to people about day in and day out. And I find that there are so many people that go to the doctor and the doctor will run blood work. And if nothing shows up in your blood work, they send you home or, with an antibiotic or an antidepressant, your choice. And, come back in 6 months. And the comments I get from my clients is, I had to take 2 painkillers to get out of bed, or I haven't slept in 3 months. I mean, there's something obviously going on with them, but if it doesn't show up in your blood work, it doesn't seem like they're interested in digging or looking. Or, unless, of course, they can run a test and charge you for it.
It's all a money game. You and I will be back on the other side of this break. Exonation, Dr. Rita Louise is our very special guest. www.soulhealer.com. My name is Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. Don't go away.
This is the X Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
I am Dr. Carl O'Helvey, founder, president of a new cancer foundation focusing on evidence-based physical, mental, and spiritual interventions, including natural cancer cures, prayer, meditation, affirmations, nutrition, and other related holistic cancer prevention and cure modalities. These are used in cancer education, research, and financing care. I ask for your help to continue this important work by donating at www.holisticcancerfoundation.com.
Hello, I'm Pete Marsh. With my daughter Justina, we will be presenting the new radio show, Too Good to Be True. If something seems too good to be true, it usually is. But with the help of Justina's amazing gifts, we're going to gain insight into questions that don't yet have complete answers. Have you wondered who built Stonehenge and for what reason? Why are crop circles found in the same region as Stonehenge and elsewhere? Are crop circles a hoax, or are they created with technologies that we have little knowledge of? Who built the pyramids in Egypt and also in other countries? How and why were they built? Was the Titanic switched with the Britannic as part of a gigantic insurance fraud, or for more insidious reasons? What caused the Tunguska event when trees were flattened over an 800 square mile area in Siberia? Will the new insights be too good to be true? Well, that will depend on what you are prepared to believe. Please join us as we start on this journey together. For more information on Too Good to Be True, visit www.xzbn.net.
Little children aren't the only ones afraid of the dark. Millions of soldiers return from war zones with PTSD, anger, frustration, fear, and loneliness, much of which surfaces during the darkness of the night. You have the chance to change the lives of these American heroes. Songs and Stories for Soldiers.us provides free MP3 players for these men and women. With a list of 3 million songs in 16 different styles, 100,000 audiobooks, and 30,000 old-time radio programs, every veteran can find something to soothe and comfort them at no cost. All our players contain an 8-hour audio program designed to help veterans fall asleep. With 1,500 plus vets now participating, it's our goal to deliver 10,000 audio players this year. Go to our website at songsandstoriesforsoldiers.us. Help us help a veteran make it through the night.
Exonation, Dr. Rita Louise is my special guest at www.soulhealer.com. And Dr. Rita and I were talking during the commercial break, and do you know what? You get in and out of a doctor's office faster here in Ontario than you do through your drive-thru at McDonald's.
That's pretty scary. It's not that bad here. And, you know, or maybe I just talk too much and, you know, get them into a conversation because I tend to get a little bit extra time. You know, but one of the things that amazes me is just how much of a money racket
big time.
it is.
Big time. Here in Ontario, the government pays the doctors. We have OHIP, Ontario Health Insurance Plan. So the more clients the doctor puts through a day, the more they can claim from OHIP.
I'm going to share a true story. This happened last year.
Okay.
I, you know, was having some health stuff, you know, and being a medical intuitive, there were a couple things that I thought might be going on, but I couldn't figure it out. I mean, I just was stumped on figuring out what I needed to do. So I went to the doctor and they decided to run a CAT scan, which I was in agreement to because it just seemed appropriate. And so they told me that if I paid out of pocket, because I hadn't met my deductible because I never go to the doctor, it was $400. But if they ran it through the insurance, it was going to be $1,200. So a long story short, the billing got messed up, and I'm talking to this woman at the hospital, and she said, well, they sent you this paper because it was discounted. I said, well, yeah, you know, I paid cash, and, you know, it was discounted from $1,200. Rob, don't fall out of your chair on this one. She said to me, well, that procedure cost $10,000. And I laughed at her on the phone. I said, so you're telling me that you gave me a $10,000 procedure for $400? Seriously.
Talk about the sale of the day.
Like, well, you should have told me. I would have, you know, kissed butt or something. I don't know. $10,000.
Yeah.
I mean, what is that? You know, I'd have to get a calculator, you know, like 99% discount.
Something like that. Yeah. Hey, listen, the next time I get a new car, I'm going to bring you with me. Maybe I'll get a better deal.
Yeah, $400.
There you go. Listen, in today's society, there's a lot of things going on that people just weren't having before. You know, there's a lot of stress, and stress is built up over the times, but fibromyalgia seems to be a big buzzword these days amongst the medical community. And I was wondering, Dr. Rita, have you done, or any of your associates done, a correlation with the increase of unknown illnesses to the increase of Wi-Fi and cell towers that are up?
I have, and I know I have clients that have issues with them. I can only my knee-jerk reaction is I can only imagine that they're going to cause some kind of an issue. You know, especially if you're living in close proximity to a power plant. You know, high power wires, a cell tower, because you're just in that vibration. You know, and our bodies aren't supposed to, let me say it in a different way. You know, we go into resonance with that equipment. And so, but that's not the vibration our body is supposed to be in. And so it only makes sense that given time, it would create some kind of an issue.
Because I've often wondered, with all the new cell towers, everybody is carrying these handheld devices. They work on Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fis are increasing. Most people have the wireless phones in their bedrooms. That's Wi-Fi, and even the Wi-Fi cable boxes to your TVs. Man, we're just inundating ourselves with it. Plus, then you've got the questions that are being raised about the food that we're eating, the GMOs, it's just, it's just amazing that we've lasted this long.
Well, you're absolutely right. The part that gets me is, why are we doing this to ourselves? Is the money that, I guess the money is that important. People sit there and go, oh, well, it's a conspiracy theory, and it's to get rid of, kind of going along with the Georgia Guidestones. This is the way to, get rid of the surplus population. But if you poison the water and you poison all the food and you poison the air, the rich people are going to be impacted just as much as we are.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't make any sense why we would do that to ourselves or take it to such an extreme.
But I wonder, what is the impact that we are having on nature's natural cycle by keeping ourselves living using all these drugs and all these chemical substitutes that we're putting in our foods, when Mother Nature has a plan and we're living way past the extended period where we should be living, causing this massive population growth?
Well, I think it's just a matter of time before something will break and nature will force the balance. And I hate to say that. Yeah. Either we run out of water, or the water becomes so contaminated and we can't fix it, or the air becomes so polluted, or, with the GMO crops, it's not like you can take a tomato that you got at the supermarket and grow it in your backyard. And so we theoretically could make it that we have nothing that we can grow to eat.
That is scary. That is truly scary.
But it's true.
Yeah. So on the other side of the coin, how do our thoughts and emotions affect our health?
Constantly. You used the stress word before, but to me, stress is kind of this panacea kind of word that incorporates a lot of different things, because my stress is different from your stress, which is different from someone else's stress. And so, we say stress, but, it varies from person to person. And so that's one of the things that I really work with people with, is to understand what those stressors are in their lives. Or for many people, when they get sick, there's a process that happens. And so when people develop some kind of a chronic illness, diabetes, high blood pressure, cancer, those types of things, it's because there's something that happened to them in their past. And I'm not talking 3 weeks ago or 6 months ago, but it could be 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40, depending on how old they are, 40 years ago, that set something off in their psyche, set off this subclinical stressor in them. And so I liken it to like a corn that you can get on your foot. You know, you end up with this giant callus on your toe, and you finally break down and go to the podiatrist, and he takes an X-Acto knife and just chops it off, which is really kind of freaky. And there's just this little nugget of sand. But over time, it has built up and built up and built up to the point that now it hurts. And our emotional space is the same way. So it might be that our parents got a divorce when we were 13 years old, and it was a very important time in our own development that it created this little nugget. And every relationship we create after that is somehow being affected by that divorce. Maybe we don't trust members of the opposite sex or whatever, and we don't really think about it, but it just manifests in our behavior. And over time, it can actually break through into the physical body and cause disease. And so the only way you can start fixing it is to understand what that specific stressor is for you.
Is it possible that the problems that we face today, we actually brought from a previous life and are manifesting in this life?
I have had clients where that has been the case. I've had a lot of clients that want that to be the case. My personal philosophy is usually people have enough stuff going on in this lifetime that we don't really need to worry about a past life. We need to deal with this one.
I agree, and yet there are so many people that I've talked to over the years who are claiming that their problems in this life originate from a past life. Right.
And I understand that, and I have people make those comments too. I mean, not meaning to invalidate, but it's kind of like a way of not taking responsibility for what's going on today.
Right. It's like blaming God for everything or blaming the devil for everything instead of taking responsibility for your own actions.
Mm-hmm. You know, especially if I can look at them and go, yeah, but, when you were 6, this happened. And, then it got reinforced when you were 25. And, oh, my God, what happened when you were 35? Because your energy, that's when everything crystallized and you started becoming symptomatic. And they're like, well, and so there might be past life stuff, but until you deal with what's going on today,
right,
and maybe learn what that was about, because, there are karmic things that we come into or have to deal with in this lifetime. And so if they brought it from a past life, they can fix it in this life.
How can someone find out what thoughts and emotions might actually be affecting their health?
They can call me up, Rob. Sorry.
Don't be. I thought that was a great answer.
Usually it's areas, and I'm just going to make kind of a couple of generic comments. I think people that are into alternative health are familiar with Louise Hay. Do you think your listeners are familiar with Louise Hay?
Definitely.
In the general sense? Well, Louise Hay was a new agey kind of woman, and so she wrote a book, You Can Heal Your Life. And so for somebody that's looking just for some insights, she has lists of different illnesses with like a little sentence that goes next to them. So like if you're suffering from canker sores, it might be that there's something that you want to communicate that's festering within you. Or if you have a back issue, it might be that you're not feeling supported by the people around you. So while it might not be 100% specific about you, it gives you a little bit of insight if you can hear it.
Well, like I can see the correlation between the backache and somebody not giving you support and so on. But how much of that is actually a placebo effect compared to the real cause?
But it might be that they have felt unsupported their whole life.
So a lot of this is psychological.
Correct. But that's what the stress is. Stress is psychological. It's something that is creating a conflict within you because you want to feel like this or you want to think this, and what you're experiencing is not that.
Well, you see, I've got a perfect example. I would love to keep talking to you right now, but I can't because I have to take a commercial break, which is causing me stress. We'll be right back on the other side of this break with my friend Dr. Rita Louise. soulhealer.com. And if you want to find out what could be affecting your health because of your thoughts and emotions, visit her website and then contact her, soulhealer.com.
Dreams are our personal gateways into infinite wisdom. Don't miss shamanic counselor and indigenously trained dream decoder Sandra Corcoran's inspiring book, Shamanic Awakening Between the Dark and the Daylight. This remarkable work chronicles Sandra's 35 years of experience with diverse wisdom keepers and her initiations throughout the Americas and across the British Isles, Turkey, Greece, and Egypt. Sandy's knowledge of symbology, psychology, and myth influence her dream blog and workshops. Sandy offers private tarot readings, international journeys, a meditative CD, as well as her book, Shamanic Awakening, to encourage you as you navigate this earth walk, creating a deeper connection to yourself and all that is. Find this and more at Sandy's website, starwalkervisions.com.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com.
Hello, I'm Justina Marsh, and with my dad Pete, we are going to present a new show called Too Good to Be True. Together, we are aiming to discover more truths about this world and beyond. Do you have unanswered questions about the world? Do you ever wonder about aliens, conspiracy theories, or the universe? There are many shows discussing subjects such as pyramids or UFOs, but we want to relay this information based on our own research, including from spiritual means. Hopefully, listeners will be helped with their own beliefs and will appreciate the psychic insights that add to the previous research and information. We both look forward to sharing this insight and beginning this journey with our listeners. Visit xzbn.net for more information about when to listen.
Exonation, Dr. Rita Louise is our special guest, www.soulhealer.com. And if you would like to contact Dr. Rita, her email address is rita@soulhealer.com. Okay, you're a medical intuitive. What can your medical intuition be used for when somebody comes to see you?
I have people that come see me for a variety of reasons. I have some clients who won't go to their regular doctor, I mean, unless they're forced to. And so they come for me to take a look at what's going on. For example, I have one client that I spoke to the other day, a regular client of mine, who has been having hip pain, and she didn't understand what was going on. And so we had a conversation about that. Will she go to her regular doctor? No, but now she understands, and I gave her some guidance and advice. She's going to go see her chiropractor, et cetera, et cetera. I have clients who have gone to the doctor, or they've gone to multiple doctors, which seems to be one of the new things that's happening. You'll go see one doctor and they'll kind of give you their 2 cents, but they don't really know. So they send you to a different doctor and they give you their 2 cents. And by the time you're done, you've gone to see 4 or 5 doctors and had thousands of dollars worth of tests done. And you walk out with 5 different diagnoses and you don't know what to do. And so I help people to sort through what they're being told. And let me kind of just give a little insight. So when I'm working with someone, what I have found in doing this work is that different diseases present in different kinds of ways. So if someone has, let's say, rheumatoid arthritis, I will see, it's kind of like this weird library, these little snowflakes in their blood. If someone, you use fibromyalgia, when I have someone that has fibromyalgia, their bodies often look very toxic, even though they might eat a very clean diet, but their body always presents toxic. They have what looks like hot spots, like if you just took your elbow and just rammed it into someone's thigh and bruised it, that's what it looks like, but they're like a whole bunch of them on their thighs and sometimes on their back. And so when I see those two things combined together with this level of fatigue that they're experiencing, because fatigue will also, it looks like someone turned their light bulb down. I will come back and say, what you're presenting to me is fibromyalgia, but it's based on these symbols that I have been collecting, with over 20 years of doing this work with different people. And so it's kind of interesting because sometimes people will come and go, well, my doctor said I have this, and I kind of laugh. All right, I don't kind of laugh. I laugh because it's bizarre, some of the things. Let's see. I mean, those are the 2 basic reasons why people come. Actually, there are people that want to understand what the emotional part is, what the stressor is. Why did they create it in the first place so that they can work on letting it go. One of the things that I have found, and I'm going to use cancer as an example, is that someone will develop cancer and they'll go and have that organ removed. But it doesn't necessarily get rid of what the stressor was. It doesn't get rid of the problem. Some people it does. Sometimes the cancer is physiological, like a female cancer that's estrogen driven. Right. There might be a physiological piece to it. But for other people, there's this emotional piece. And so if you have a body part chopped out, it doesn't necessarily get rid of it. And so it's just going to present itself somewhere else until you do the work, until you clear what that emotional energy is from your space and do some inner healing.
So were you born as a medical intuitive as well as psychic, or are these 2 skills that you honed over the years?
I studied at the Berkeley Psychic Institute a long time ago, and after being in their program a very, very short time, 3 weeks, I came to the realization that I had been very psychic my whole life and never knew it. And studied with them. When I left, I moved, and so I wasn't able to work with them anymore. And I was trying to figure out, well, what did I want to do? And, I would just do this internal questioning, like, well, what should I do next? And I was guided to go back to school and get my degree as a naturopath, because apparently I thought every psychic could do this. When I look at someone and I'm in a reading space, it's very easy for me to see where there's an inflammation here or this over there that's going on. And so I would make comments to people when I was just doing like plain psychic readings or doing energy work with them. It's like, well, did you have like some issue going on with your kidney? There's this dark energy there. And the question they would ask is, well, what can I do about it? But I didn't have any answers. And so I went back to school and got a degree as a naturopath and my Ph.D. in natural health counseling, so I could at least give them some guidance.
When people talk about healing and psychic healing and medical intuitive, one of the names that most likely will come up in any conversation is Edgar Cayce. How do you think Edgar Cayce did what he was doing?
I mean, Edgar Cayce did in my opinion, a form of remote viewing. And so because he would go into a trance state and then people would ask him questions and then he would just provide answers. And so there are two forms of remote viewing, and this is not my area of expertise, but I know a little bit. And one of them is where the remote viewer does go into this trance-like state, and then they have someone who asks questions, and then they just give the answers from this very deep, deep place. And that, when I was reading about that form of remote viewing, it was very reminiscent of Edgar Cayce's work.
Out of all the people that you've had come to you as a medical intuitive, is there one case that just awed you?
In what way?
You were surprised that, number one, what the problem was, and number two, how you solved it.
Well, one of the things about doing this kind of work is that you don't get a lot of feedback. You work with a client and then they go, it's the nature of just doing any kind of psychic work. Right. Do you really call your doctor up and say, hey, that medication you gave me worked really good?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, I don't think many people do.
Because how else is he or she going to know if what they gave me is working unless I call them back?
Yeah, but my experience has been that people don't necessarily do that.
Oh, okay.
So actually probably this is one of my miracle stories. And this one I did get feedback on and it blew me away. So I was working actually at a psychic fair and had this woman sit down, and this was before I was even doing medical intuition stuff. So it was before any degrees or anything. And so she had a tooth pulled from the very front, like her canine tooth pulled, and the root had gone up into the sinus cavity. Ooh. And it wasn't healing, and it was festering, and just, it was nasty.
Yeah.
And she went to the doctor, and basically he said, if it's not better by next Thursday, then we're going to go in and surgically close up this hole, and it's going to become this much bigger rigmarole with this tooth. And so she sits down and kind of gives me the once over about what's going on, and I just sat and I did energy work on her. And so this is what I did this was going on in my mind's eye as I worked with her. What I looked at her gums with my little psychic vision, and I'm sorry how this is going to come out, but I don't know any other way to explain it. But they were just like really pussy, and it was kind of disgusting, and when it's really visual and I'm really kinesthetic And, so I'm like, so I was working and trying to clean the pus out and drain the pus out from her gums. And then I went and I had this like imaginary in my mind's eye, like a antibiotic. And I cleaned her gums off, like not just the gums, but like in and around the teeth. I mean, like inside deep in her. And then there was where the hole was, and I imagined that I had a little needle and thread, and I sewed the little hole up, and that was it. Our 15 minutes were up, and I just went, that's kind of weird, and she left. Well, I don't know, 6 months later, I get a phone call from this woman, and she says, I want to make an appointment and blah, blah, blah. You worked on my sister at the psychic fair. And I'm like, well, who is your sister or what did I do for her? And she goes, she didn't call you? I'm like, no. Well, apparently when the woman went home, her sinuses started draining.
Wow.
And they drained all night long and well into the next day. And she went to the doctor like that Thursday, and not only had the hole sealed up, but bone had started to grow where the hole was. It's one of my miracle stories.
How many others do you have?
I have a few.
Can you share another one with us?
Sure. And I really have to put it out. It's a miracle story. Not everyone has these kind of results.
Right.
But they happen. So this is more of an emotional one that I think you'll appreciate. So I had a woman who had fibroids. So fibroids are growths that grow on the uterus and can become very uncomfortable depending on how they're growing or where they're located. They can bleed. And that's one of the biggest concerns, is that if they start to bleed, then you can become anemic and have secondary issues to the fibroids. But fibroids in and of themselves, other than being uncomfortable, you don't die. They're kind of like a wart on the uterus as a parallel. And so this woman had fibroids and she wanted to deal with them naturally. Excuse me. And so she wanted to know if she needed to have the surgery right away, because the doctors were kind of pushing her, and if she could put off the surgery, how long that could possibly be.
All right, Rita, you and I are going to have a bit of a cliffhanger here because I have to take my final break. Exonation, Dr. Rita Louise is our special guest, www.soulhealer.com. And the good doctor and I return on the other side of this break because, you know what? Everybody has a story to tell, and I'm telling you that if you need to contact a medical intuitive, it's Dr. Rita Louise. You can visit her website once again at soulhealer.com or send her an email to rita@soulhealer.com. I am Rob McConnell. This is the X Zone. We'll be back on the other side of this break as we wrap up this hour here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada.
Hi everyone, Rob McConnell here, and I wanted to spend a moment on internet streaming. Everybody has heard about internet streaming, but not many know much about it. Did you know the internet streams just about everything?
Movies.
From new releases to old classics.
TV shows.
Almost every show, every episode, and much more. But the question has always been, how do you do it? Well now, thanks to the folks at 123 Ready TV, I have the answer for you. They have developed a simple program app, 123 Ready TV, that you install on your Windows PC, Android smartphone, or Android tablet that can have you streaming like a pro in less than 5 minutes. You truly won't believe how much is available or how easy it is to do until you try. And for a one-time cost of only $19.99, this product is a real winner. To learn more about 123 Ready TV, visit our website at www.xzbn.net.
This is the X-Zone Broadcast Network, broadcasting worldwide on broadcast affiliates and satellite program providers, including CNN Broadcast Network, Sirius Satellite Network, Star Media, Good News Radio Network, Angel Broadcast Network, Wiki Broadcast Network, and WPBN TV. For more information on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, visit us at www.xzbn.net.
Did you know that when you're on the road with limited data or Wi-Fi, you can still listen to the X-Zone Radio Show with Rob McConnell, The Science of Magic with Gwilda Wiyaka, X-1, Dimension X, Space Patrol, and every minute of the X-Zone Broadcast Network by calling 213-401-0080, courtesy of Audio Now. No smartphone, app, or internet needed. It saves your data plan and it's free if you have unlimited minutes. Call 213-401-0080 to listen on any phone, anytime, anywhere. Remember 213-401-0080 for the best of the paranormal, parapsychology, and sci-fi radio programming anywhere, 24/7, 365.
True healing must address 4 levels: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual, for us to live joyful and productive lives. We tend to treat 3 of the 4, leaving the spiritual languishing. If you're tired of the same dysfunctional patterns cropping up in your life, Soul Balancing is for you. Trixie Phelps, owner and founder of Soul Balancing, is a naturally gifted energy healer trained in numerous esoteric forms, including shamanism. Trixie has created a powerful modality that safely and effectively clears your energetic field. A Soul Balancing session can remove interference, heal trauma, and restore your hope. Contact Trixie for a life-changing long-distance session today, www.soulbalancing.world. There's a legend shared by many indigenous cultures of a time when the nations were cast to the 4 corners of the world. Each nation was given a body of sacred knowledge that held a different portion of the truth to preserve. True reality could not be known until all the nations reunited, combining the information. If a single one was missing, the world could not be reborn and darkness would prevail. The Science of Magic Radio is dedicated to reuniting the sacred knowledge. With the understanding, none of us has all the answers, but together we can open new perceptions and possibilities. Through our combined vision, the world can be reborn into a place where darkness no longer prevails. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, and the Science of Magic daily on the X-Zone Broadcast Network, xzbn.net, or visit us at thescienceofmagic.net.
Exonation, Dr. Rita Louise is our special guest this hour. Her website is www.soulhealer.com. All right, Dr. Rita, we're going to have to get back to that cliffhanger that we had just before we went to the final break.
Okay. And I'll try to speak very quickly. And so we talked about what was going on, and she didn't ask me, but I just decided to kind of take a step back from what we were talking about and kind of peer in to see what the emotional piece was to what was going on. And I'll never forget this session. I said to her, I said, well, do you have a boyfriend? And she said, yeah. And Rob, I think you've gotten to know me well enough. What came out of my mouth was, you need to dump him. And she just kind of looked at me like, why? But what I was feeling for her was that she was giving all of her emotional energy to this man, and I'm putting this in quotes, in the hope that he would return it to her.
Oh.
And I said, and it's never going to happen. And so the fibroids will keep growing. Well, we chit-chatted. I mean, she was someone I knew, so we chit-chatted for a while, and the session was over. So another 6 months later, I'm at a conference, and she happened to be there, and she comes up, and she gives me this big hug. She goes, fibroids are gone, and so is the boyfriend. Well, apparently, she went home and basically dumped him and never did anything natural or holistic to treat her fibroids.
So does the body automatically regenerate itself or rejuvenate itself when the problems are taken care of?
It can. I think that sometimes it becomes so broken, or, degenerated because of just being broken for so long that it becomes a bit more challenging for the body to fully heal itself.
Right.
But it is possible, and you can recover at least, a large percentage of your mobility or the functionality of those tissues and organs.
So if somebody listening today would like to become a medical intuitive like you, is there a way that they can go about in gaining this very, very important skill?
Well, funny you should mention that, Rob, because I just so happen to have a 2-year professional level training program that I offer to individuals like your listeners, that is completely online, and they learn how to work with their own energy. They learn how to work doing energy healing. They learn how to do psychic readings. And if they take it all the way through the training program, they learn how to do medical intuition evaluations.
And it's a 2-year course?
It's a 2-year course.
Wow.
One of the things about doing psychic work is that, in my opinion, you can't teach it in a weekend. I mean, you can teach people the brain food, but it's only until you get it, that you've had the practice, that you've had the validation to begin to trust the messages or the library that you're receiving, that you can go out and really, do it professionally. And that's why I say it's a professional level training program.
The library that you reference, is this the same library that is known as the Akashic Records?
I don't think so. I think as, things bounce off of our own internal life system. And so I think that my library is going to be different from your library if we were looking at the same thing. I mean, I think there might be, there'd be crossover, but I think there would be our own take on what it is.
When you go out and do your lectures, your seminars, or you're at a psychic fair, do you find the type of questions are changing and becoming more complex than they were, let's say, 10 years ago?
I think people are becoming more educated, especially when it comes to their health, because they will go online.
Yeah.
And self-diagnose, which for some people is really good. For other people, you should take their internet connections away.
My mother's like that. I call her an internet hypochondriac. Because, she goes on the internet. God bless her, she's 80 some odd. And she goes on the internet and she, has these little problems. And, she comes up with 6 or 7 different possibilities of what could be the problem. And then she goes and sees her doctor with all these printouts. Like, Mom, I think she's doing herself more harm than good.
Well, I have to tell you, the scary part is, Rob, is sometimes you go to the doctor and say, well, I think it's this, and they'll treat you based on what you say.
Oh, that is dangerous.
I've seen it.
So what can people do to start to get themselves back onto the road where they can have a radiant life again and radiant health?
Well, and I think it's by paying attention, by loving and honoring yourself. That is the most important thing. So whether loving and honoring yourself is eating right or exercising or saying no, because sometimes that's the most important thing we need to do, is to listen to and love ourselves.
Because
first.
if you can't love yourself, no one else can.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So how do we get people who are looking for outward love, like the late young lady that you were talking about, whose boyfriend was just sucking her dry until she took your words of wisdom and dumped the bum? How do we tell people, or how do we get them to start loving themselves instead of other people or other things first?
Well, it's the culture. We have been brought up with that philosophy. I mean, even in the New Age community, there's that word affinity, well, but I'm trying to have affinity for everything that's going on. But the way that people communicate it, it's the ability to love other people unconditionally. But what you find in the New Age community is that, but there's no room for them to love themselves. And they're all giving it all away.
Well, that's not very smart.
But that's what we're taught. We're not taught to love ourselves, because it's seen in society as being selfish. But what I have found is, if we don't love ourselves, then we give it all away, or we don't have boundaries, or we become very accepting of other people's bad behavior. And we lose our choices, because when we love ourselves, we can choose to give our energy away. We can make conscious choices about who we are and where we're going and where we want to invest our time and energy into the things we have to interact with on a day-to-day basis.
So it also seems that people give up control of their own lives to other people in an effort to be accepted and to be loved?
Yes. And it is probably one of the most common things that happens. But that's what we're taught. We're taught that that's what we're supposed to do as a society.
No wonder we're screwed up.
I know.
Listen, the clock is ticking, and I was just wondering, what are your final words of wisdom and your final thoughts for the X-Zone Nation tonight?
I think that we're at a pivotal point in where we're moving forward, especially when it comes to healthcare, and our ability to heal ourselves. I think there's been a lot of visibility, both positive and negative, coming out of the health community, the mainstream medical community. There is a lot of material out there about the GMOs and the chemicals and the, pink slime meat that they have at McDonald's, that people are starting to say, I don't want this. And I think that will help to start making a change. I mean, people have started noticing, or I don't know how it is in Canada, Rob, where you go to the supermarket, and now just about every supermarket has an organic fruits and vegetables section.
Same thing
or a
here.
Natural food section. And it's starting to change. Yep. People are wanting it.
And people are reading what's in the food that they're eating. They're looking at the contents, and this was unheard of, 5 years ago?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, my good friend, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Always a great pleasure talking to you. I wish you continued success. And you know what? You deserve many thanks for helping the number of people that you do help, not only in person or on the phone, Skype, but also on your radio show. So just keep the great work up. It's great calling you a friend.
Thanks, Rob. You have a great evening. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye, Dr. Louise. Take care of yourself, dear. X-Zone Nation, and if you'd like to contact Dr. Rita Louise, her website is www.soulhealer.com. That's www.soulhealer.com. I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X-Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. If you'd like to send me an email, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and all social media sites, X Zone Radio TV, and find out what programming is when aired. 724 365 on the X Zone Broadcast Network. Visit our website, xzbn.net. Don't go away. I'll be back on the other side of the news.